Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
What time is it?
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Now Myers to win the league, yes!
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Werewolves of London.
Cannonball!
Well, hello and welcome to the Below the Rim show, a show dedicated to the BBL. It's me, Pabs. We are joined by Ads, but his screen's gone blank, so we'll introduce him again in a minute. Hopefully he'll be back shortly. He's having all sorts of technical difficulties. We're all a little bit lazy to the... we're all a little bit late. We invariably schedule the podcast for a certain time and start 40 minutes later, usually, something like that. So it's 9:45.
That's early.
It's going well. That's the man there, Mr. Grant Young, the Northern correspondent, the brave heart. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm really good, guys. Really good, thank you.
Good man. And Mr. Nicholson joining us as well, from straight from training. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Just spent 2 hours showering at children. Happy days.
That's what you need.
I had a good training session with my under-14s guys. Actually, a really good session. So, I'm in good form and I'm ready to pick my ESPN NBA draft as we speak as well.
Good. Well, let's start with. I tell you what, we're by no means newsbreakers. But is there a signing there? Are you showing us a signing there, Mr. Grant Young, sir?
Yeah, Phoenix have released Danny Evans inside.
I knew about that.
Maceo Jack, 6'5" wing, played at Buffalo last year.
Interesting. They made a few shuffles there.
Ben Thomas got his hand on the shotgun this season.
Well, as I was about to say, we're not the first to bring you the news, but when we bring you the news, we bring you the news. Let's talk about the London Lions briefly before we get cracking with the BBL stuff. They've literally just finished in what was a bit of an epic showdown. Mr. Grant Young with the BT subscription there, saw the whole thing.
Most of the second half anyway, but after putting the wee one to bed. After I got the wee one down, I was all on it. But what a night. Like, the Ovi Sokos turned up and absolutely played the best I've seen Ovi Soko play. They've got good support from Nelson. They've got like Ruban, he just showed his class. Zubcic's the same, and just what a team performance. The defense in the fourth quarter was phenomenal. So that's an absolute brilliant night for GB international basketball, BBL, Lions. Yeah. I think everyone should be pretty excited by that result, especially after last week when Sam Decker went down. So I think tonight kind of proves that they don't just need Sam Decker and that the rest of the team are good enough to do it.
There's some depth there, isn't there? I don't think there's ever been an issue.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we've got... What we're going to try and do tonight is, or whenever you listen to this, might be morning, who knows, is we'll rattle through some of the topics we've been popping up on the Below the Rim Twitter feed. Sparked a bit of interest from people, which I was quite pleased with, and generated a bit of discussion throughout the day. Gets you through the day, so to speak. So we've kind of got three that we've popped up this week. We'll try and keep them almost daily if we can. We've managed to do that so far, but there's certain narratives that we can probably maybe touch upon as things go along. So we'll touch on that. And obviously we had a whole host of games last weekend. We've got the prediction stuff to go through as well, plus the predictions. We made predictions last week on our group chat, because obviously we weren't here last week because I wasn't very well. So we'll see who's where in terms of predictions. I know I got one right. Sorry, Grant.
I think I did as well.
My zag.
I don't think I got any right.
My zag on the Caledonia game. I don't think I got any others right. Yeah. We'll go through that and have a look in a bit. But first up, let's. What would you guys want to do first? Do you want to have a look at some of the scores from the week before we tackle some sort of narratives and some bits and bobs that have cropped up from that? And there was a fair few fixtures.
Show us the way, dear leader.
So 14th, 15th, 16th. Eagles, Sharks. I tell you what. Well, this kind of ties in a little bit with the first topic that we discussed or posted up for debate purposes. Sheffield Sharks at home to the Newcastle Eagles visitors. Not a great game. Obviously, you never really know how games are going to turn out. It was the Sky game. You won a good game. On paper, I guess they're both two teams that were maybe struggling in the initial portion of the league games that they've played and desperate to pick up wins. So you could maybe have thought it could have been a good game. Turns out not so much. But the venue... yeah. I mean, you can hang curtains anywhere, but I'm not sure it looks that good for the Sky game. The game itself wasn't great, and the Eagles, I think, in terms of the Eagles, how do we feel about the Eagles so far before we move on to anything else? Because it's obviously they picked up the win in the Cup against the weakened Patriots side the week before, in what was a tight game, but obviously no Antonio Williams. That's a huge loss for the Pats. But then to drop points to Sheffield, who've really struggled themselves.
I just think the Eagles are missing something, and there's something either. I mean, Isles' poll was pretty good with different options and had some good discussion on it as well. But I just think the Eagles lack. There's a cohesion missing. There's too many.
They're missing a guy.
There's
the go-to guy.
But when you've got Cohen throwing his hands up in the air because I think Varner's not moved the ball on, that's not right. Your point guard shouldn't be showing that frustration this early into the season, this early into his Eagles career, because the team aren't doing what obviously the coach has told Cohen to do. If your point guard's not controlling the ball, he's played 35 minutes against Sheffield, and okay, teams are missing players and whatever else. Not Mockford looked like he got hurt or has been playing hurt or whatever, but like Eagles stat lines bar Hamlet, who just creates himself, is abysmal. They don't move the ball. Yeah. And I just think they're missing someone. Like, yeah, they're missing a guy, an energy guy, which we can all easily work out who that was going to be. But they're missing a guy who can score the ball outside. They're missing a guy who can just shoot the 3-ball consistently. Hamlet's not a shooter. He totally drives inside. Varner, same. Defoe's Defoe. And Cohen any night could shoot the ball, but he wasn't on Friday night. I just think Eagles are missing a massive piece, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few more changes.
Yeah, I don't know. It gets to a point with BBL size of how many changes you're going to make, isn't it? Because changes cost money, flights cost money, contracts cost money.
Is there not a limit as well? Or there used to be?
I'm not sure on that. There will be after a certain time period, I believe.
Yeah, there's a deadline. I think it's March, isn't it?
Yeah. But you can only mess around with it so much before it just really doesn't work. You know, sometimes you may have to just bite the bullet and... My draft has started.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Brilliant stuff.
But there's sometimes you're going to have to bite the bullet and figure it out. You're going to have to figure it out. And I know they beat the Patriots. Obviously, I was at that game. Their point guard just went off from the free line. You know, he really did. And Patriots made some silly mistakes. They stood on the sideline a couple of times. They had loads of unforced turnovers. It just, it wasn't their night. But even then, I'm watching Newcastle and I'm thinking, you're right. There's something not there. And is this? How many times can you go on like this with your Newcastle? Obviously, from what they were to they've gone downhill, they're going to have to just go, right, okay, we're going to have to hang on in there for a little bit and figure this out.
So obviously they've brought in Donovan Johnston, and he obviously had a tricky night first game, 4 fouls, they got nothing from him because of that. And then you've ended up with Kennedy playing 35 minutes as well. And we said before, is Kennedy a guy that can lead that team? No, is my answer. He shot 4 from 10, for example. I just think they just lacking pieces. And if, again, I'll say it, and I don't think Steutel's speaking really well anytime I've heard him interviewed, he's saying the right things. And you wonder how, obviously, his first league and the first time in the BBL, how involved he was in recruitment. I'm guessing he did recruit the team, but for them all to be changed pretty quickly, near enough, tells me that maybe someone else was in charge of that, and it's just not fitted into what he wants. So hopefully they can turn it around, because you don't want to see a team like Eagles struggle. We see the kind of outcry online and social media from their fans, just not best pleased with how the league has started. But yeah, they've got such experienced coaches in Marc Steutel and Gary Stronach. You hope that they can turn it around.
I know they've got a leader in Defoe, but they need a leader who's going to play 30 minutes a game and is going to be an absolute bucket. This is what, everyone's got one, right? Everyone's got a guy that you go, shit's hit the fan, let's give them the ball.
And I suppose they have that in Javian Hamlet, but he needs someone to help him. Like, he can't go for 23 points as he does against Sharks, basically have half their offense, and he's got no support cast. Like, Varner and Kennedy have had to play 30 plus minutes to get double figure scores. No one else is even close. It's not as if they turned the ball over massively either. They had 12 turnovers.
It was one of our topics of discussion through the week after that loss, and it's a simple question: Is Marc Steutel under pressure? Was the basic premise of the question as it stands at the moment. Now, I know time's on his side, as it were, to a degree, because obviously it's early days and there's a lot of basketball still to play. And like you say, that although they you perhaps question how many times the team or coach can change his lineup or his team, whatever, there is still time to bring in a couple guys, to kind of bolster things, or not even bolster, to try and find that guy. But there's a little bit of a track record with Eagles fans. They probably won't like me even saying this. I know for a fact that the some of the fans' pages on Facebook were going off all through the night, allegedly, after the loss to the Sharks. There's some disgruntled fans already. We know how things went with Ian McLeod. Obviously, he won 2 trophies the year before. The next year they struggled. They didn't make the playoffs, and there were cries for the coach to be relieved of duties early on in that season. When things really started to go bad. And I think was it how many consecutive losses was it when that happened? I can't remember. It was a good number of consecutive losses. The fans are used to seeing wins in that building now, and they have done since about 1990, probably. At least, putting together a stronger unit, and then obviously the 2000s, I guess, more so. Silverware in that cabinet.
But the reality is, look, even if they make a couple of changes and get better, it's still not going to be a season like they're used to. This is new. This is uncharted territory for some of these fans. They're not going to just...
Does that mean Marc Steutel's under pressure then? Does that mean automatically because of that?
I think he will be under pressure by the fans.
Yes.
I don't know about the organisation.
I think because last season was such a massive change for them, has actually given Mark more time. And they've had, let's be honest, quite a tough schedule.
Yeah, that's true. That's another point that was made. Schedule. Yeah, it's not easy.
But I still just think they've just not got the balance right yet. And I don't think he's under pressure. I don't.
Somebody put, losing sinks you deeper, and the deeper you go, the greater the pressure. So they'll certainly be looking to try and turn things around. The next topic is related to the same game, was the choice of venues. Obviously, we're talking specifically Sky games. We're not saying don't broadcast stuff that features a wall anywhere, and it's a tricky topic almost because the production at Bristol is fantastic. But then it's got to be said, when that game starts and the ball is tipped and you're faced with the back wall of a squash court, it's not great. Like, we understand there's fans behind the camera because we've been to these places and we've seen these places. But for the Sky game, when we're trying to, or I say we, 777 in particular, trying to raise the profile of the game, make it more appealing to investors, it's not necessarily the angle you want to show. Although that's my opinion. Grant, my man.
Yeah, I agree with you in that one. I I just think there's something about just staring. And I get they want to see the benches. Fair enough. You want to see what the coaches are up to and whatever else not. But I just don't. Having seen that place used for other sports as well, like, could you not spin the camera around? Could you not put the cameras in the balcony, move the benches, move your seat? I just think it looks better as a spectacle for a potential new audience. And okay, if you're a basketball fan, you're watching the game for the basketball. But see, if you're someone that you're clicking through the Sky channels, you're on YouTube and you click on it and you're like, well, that's weird. I occasionally see people, but all I see is a bench, a court, and a blue curtain.
Yeah.
And every venue has their own issues, and when Sharks get their new place, it's going to be much better for them as well. So, because it'll be their own. So, I suppose is it short term, but I've got my own disgruntles at the Sky schedule because it looks like so many games are Newcastle games for the next few weeks.
I think there's different factors in the schedule because actually, for instance, Patriots, most of our games are on a Sunday, and there's nothing we can do about that. So, you know, that's why the Sky games are based on a Friday, and it is what it is. But this is where I want to give big credit to the BBL. Joe Edwards, who's the lead in the comms guys, he sent us out a document after the first week about photography, good and bad photos, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, taking photos with fans in the background compared to taking photos with a wall in the background. You can manipulate cameras to make things look phenomenal. You can manipulate fans in arenas to make places look full. I just think a little bit more needs to be done, not just from Sky cameras, because they do an amazing job, but also from venues. You know, looking at when I went to Manchester, a lot of people there spread around two big stands. Actually, could they lower those down a little bit? Can they bring all the fans down a little bit? Can they make it look more full? Probably. You know, and I just think there needs to be a little bit of manipulation done in some of these venues, because I remember when Bristol used to have scaffolding up, and they had the cameras on the scaffolding, and they faced the fans. I'm sure there's logistical reasons why maybe some of these teams can't do it, but you're right. It's a product. You need to make it look good.
Yeah, I remember. I think there was a wee bit of chatter on the social media about all this stuff and how you used to have teams chaperoning fans into specific seats, but it was for that reason, to make things look fuller, better on camera. And there's no reason that might have been in the early 2000s or the 10s or whatever, but it's still relevant now when we're trying to relaunch this sport again. So hopefully we see an improvement.
Well, we posted on our YouTube channel pretty much the full game, Brighton Bears versus the Milton Keynes Lions. It was just a standard league game at the Brighton Centre, and it was heaving, absolutely heaving. And I can tell you for a fact, behind where the cameras are, it's just a wall. It's obviously a gig venue. There's only 3 sides that they use essentially. Having said that, where the wall is, they used to set up like a box kind of area for more wealthy spectators, as it were. But that was always, and we didn't know that was on TV, that one either. I'd not, obviously that must have been still, I would say still part of the Sky deal, but I'm not sure if it was, because it was on ITV. It was on Meridian. It was on that was our local news. That was our local station. Like, it wasn't on national TV. It was just on ITV Meridian. And I can remember I was in the crowd for that one in the season ticket, and none of our season ticket. We were like, "Oh, there's cameras here tonight. Oh, good." We didn't know. It was still rammed, but it often was anyway.
This
looks so much better.
Yeah, this isn't everything's rubbish. This is just saying I think there's things that we can do.
Well, we know those stands are full up, but it's just you can't see them. It would be good to see them. It would be better for the perception of the league to see them.
It's for the people that we're trying to introduce to the game, right?
Exactly.
For this massive NBA fans that there are in the UK, that they switch over to Sky and go, "Oh, British basketball, I'll give that a look for a bit." You know, I normally watch NBA, but I watch this. Oh, where's the crowd? Oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
That's the people that we want. We want to draw them in.
And for anybody who thinks for whatever reason, it's only BBL fans that are watching anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's not the point. It's not just BBL fans that are watching. It is. It's the new catchment. It's NBA fans, like you say, that are like, I don't fancy staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning tonight. Let's see if we can watch some British basketball instead. It's a little bit easier. Anyway, let's move on to another fixture that took place over the weekend. Bristol Flyers extended their unbeaten run over the reigning champs, the Leicester Riders, which led us to ask 2 questions. First of which is, are the Flyers legit? Can we finally say that the Flyers are legit? And the second part of that question is, and obviously, again, it's early days, so it may be slight overreaction, but it's good for a discussion. The second part of the question is, obviously, are the Riders now struggling to keep up with the rest of the league, who obviously are improving season by season? First part of that, let's tackle. Welcome, Ads, by the way. Thanks for...
Oh, God. What is it, when you need to just get on your computer, press play, and you're away, and your computer's like, no, I know you need to be doing something. Therefore, I'm going to be an arsehole and then not work. And there's 2 computers doing it. I have my laptop and my desktop computer doing the same thing. So
is this the Windows update?
Huh?
Is this a Windows update?
It's Mac, mate.
Oh,
yeah.
Can't afford a Mac. I've only got PC. My little laptop.
Well,
it's going to blow up one day. Anyway,
what we're talking about?
Well, we're just tackling the first part of the question from the Flyers winning at the weekend. Can we finally say the Flyers are legit 4-0? There's some people think they need to play away from home first. Grant's shaking his head. Go on.
I mean, I on this podcast said I reckon at that time they were going to come bottom of the league, and I have got egg on my face because you know what? They look bloody good, don't they? Regardless of their 5 in the court, Bell's looking good, King's looking good, Miller's looking phenomenal. Watson Gale's a nice surprise, and then they've got the guy Meehan as well. And that's before we even think about Leslie Smith and Delpeche and Samuels. Like I think they've got a group of guys that are just playing really well. They come together after every big moment, and I'm one that's saying let's see how they do on the road. They play really well at home, and I also reckon they were a team that would struggle to score points, but and again called out Kapoulis a wee bit, who I felt was played the shot clock, but they've just scored 91 points in Leicester.
Yeah,
let's be honest, that's regardless of being home or away, that's impressive. So they seem to be a bit more of an offense team this year. Still the same energy, but got some good pieces to the puzzle, and it's all rosy in Flyers land. But I think with Leicester, they've still got Thornton's new, and we're hearing Washington's not 100%, but I just don't think they're getting enough of something from someone. But when you look at their points distribution, it's pretty good. I think it's one of these ones where you can say on any other given night, Leicester's winning.
Hey, look, they're going for a bad breakup right now. Right, that's kind of what it's like. They had this worldie of a partner, and they broken up, and Gino is gone, and they got a bit upset, and that's what it seems like. But look, don't get me wrong, we're saying that because they've lost to a really good Bristol side, and they've lost to London. Like, come on, let's put it in perspective. But it's different territory for them. But Bristol were tough, man. Bristol, I said it after that first preseason game when Patriots got whooped and everyone was like, oh my God, Patriots got whooped by Bristol. No, Bristol are good. Legit good.
Ads, my man.
Beat Giants by 1. Could have gone either way. Beat Sheffield, who haven't been amazing. Played Plymouth and beat them. Are they legit? No, I don't think that. I think they're good. I think they're strong. Am I thinking that they're going to be second place behind London in the table at the end of the season? No. They're all right.
Fair enough. They're all right, yeah. They're not bad, are they?
Let's see what happens after January. That's like, in true Bristol Flyers fashion, let's see what happens in the second half of the season.
Well, hang on, we're not there yet. That's a fucking way off. We have to make bold predictions now. This is... Add the other side of the question.
Well, I don't think go on.
I was going to say, do you see the Riders struggling a bit more this season, having the rest of the league improved?
Well, there's no doubt that the league's pretty freaking competitive this year, and that's a good thing. And it's about time there was more than one or two teams nipping at each other's tails. I mean, it's unusual to see. What are Leicester now? 2-2.
1-2, isn't it?
1-2.
How many games did Leicester lose last season?
Yeah, they only lost.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, but we're basing it on Leicester's very, very high standards. But like we're saying here, the standard of the league has gone up dramatically this season. Yeah, I mean,
obviously losing Gino is impactful on that in terms of them keeping up with the rest of the league. But when you look at, they've re-signed a lot. They're trying to find that Gino-esque missing piece, and it could be the new guy. He's not had long enough to kind of bed in yet.
See, I feel like I'm qualified to state this now after seeing him play a few games, but I always felt that William Lee didn't get talked about enough.
When he was at Leicester. Yeah,
I'll tell you what, I mean, I liked that guy when he was at Leicester. I thought he was nice and he did a job sort of quietly. But then
great defender.
Seeing him play, 4 times now in the flesh, the guy's better than I even thought he was. I mean, that guy, it's like Nicholson when you were in Manchester and we were talking before the game, you were like, okay, so you've got Fletch. We know what we're going to do with Fletch. We're going to put Antonio on him. Okay, you've got Dirk. We know what we're going to do about him. But what do we do about William Lee? And that's kind of been what teams have. I mean, if you look at his stats this year, he's solid. He's giving MVP numbers.
Could it be this then? Could it be that in the recent improvement of standard in the league and the way a lot of teams play a free flowing style, we've seen it with Jamal Anderson. He was only really required for his defensive purposes at Leicester. Perhaps the same with William Lee. He was a terrific defender there, and perhaps not called to do quite as much as he does in Manchester. Is it maybe that aspect of it?
Well, maybe, but if you look at Manchester's roster, it's not like the shorter guys that can score.
No.
And I think he's leading the team in scoring right now, because obviously Dirk's a bucket. Ramon can score. They've got other guys that they can go to for the scoring, but this guy's averaging a double-double, I believe. And he's kind of giving it on both ends. Now, it's interesting, isn't it, that you talk about players that were at Leicester that you didn't realise can do other things as well. Like when Jamal came to Manchester, it's like, okay, so Jamal Anderson, if he wants to, he can give you 20, 25 points in a game. Much like William Lee's doing now, because Leicester, I think the way that Rob runs his team, it's very much your role is this. Yeah. Give me this. You know what I mean? And then when players go to other clubs, you sort of see the full package a little bit more. And I think that's definitely what we're seeing with William Lee. So don't underestimate what a big part of Leicester he was. I mean, obviously losing Gino's huge. A great point guard needs great players around him, though.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
To feed, yeah.
And at the moment, it feels like with Leicester, they've got some great players, but not a great point guard.
Absolutely.
I quite like Thornton. I quite like Thornton, though. I think he's going to grow into the role. I think we're seeing his offense game. What's he averaging for the season? So, okay, I think he's only like 2 games, and he's averaging 20 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. If he can continue that for the next few games, I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Don't forget, Leicester have gone and had like a European game, loads of preseason games, a league game, and then he finally comes in. So to be the starting point guard and not be involved in any of that is tough.
Yeah. Hey, we're not daft. It's a small sample size when it comes to Leicester, but as a talking point right now, they're not where we used to seeing them. And although it's only a few games, like Paul said, they lost. Was it only 2 games last season in total? They've already lost.
And they've done that already. Amount.
Yeah. But to be honest, we you've got to expect that to a degree when the standard around you is rising. I mean, look at Newcastle. The standard has risen around Newcastle, and they've not moved with the times. This season looks like a backward step. We'll see how that obviously unfolds. Again, small sample size, but we're getting the feel that they're going to be down there battling for a playoff spot, as it were. Let's have a brief look. Not that we need to dive in any particularly deep. I don't think there was any shock. Surrey Scorchers were the team at home, the London Lions visiting, and Lions just kind of took care of business. Not any real shocks in that one. But I was quite surprised Cheshire Phoenix, Caledonia Gladiators. Now I picked the Phoenix to win that one, but only as a zag because everybody else was picking the Gladiators. So I picked Phoenix to win it. I honestly didn't think they would, and for all intents and purposes, the game was unfolding. It didn't look like they were going to, and they really had a good finish to the game and finished out on top. And I wasn't even sure I'd seen the score right. Grant, my man, you're our most northern correspondent. How did you feel about that one?
I mean, if a game could be described by each different 10 minutes being completely different, then this was one of them. Phoenix just seemed to really put a lot of pressure on Sloan, rookie point guard. They put Jamal on him, and Jamal just had one of those nights where he's been brilliant at every end of the floor, defensively, offensively. 19 points. He was phenomenal, and hits at 21. Just seeing here, like he was great form. He put Sloan under a lot of pressure. I think what's probably helped them is that obviously Gladiators absolutely demolished them in pre-season.
Yeah.
And on this game, they forced Sloan alone to have 5 turnovers. So I wonder if there's a wee bit of that, a bit of revenge game, but also maybe Gladiators not being as on it, considering they probably thought we're going to win this. But nothing went that first quarter. I've watched it back, and I'm like, it then just totally changed second quarter. Johnny Bunyan played a wee bit. I don't know how he changed it as such, but just being on court, spacing probably helped, but foul trouble. Oh man, foul trouble galore down at lovely Cheshire. I mean, that's a whole bloody topic on its own when you go there. The way that the ref the game there just differently to every other part of the country. A foul count of 21-9. Like, come on. Normally these things even out across the 40 minutes, but it definitely didn't on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, Cheshire looked good. They've obviously now made another change. Evans, Clipper, great. Teague, Anderson, and then obviously again Marcus Evans in. Like he's going to be an absolute baller for them, and probably their kind of the piece of the puzzle they wanted. I think I said it as well at the time. See, heading into the fourth quarter, when Gladiators were up or within 1 or 2, having come back from being 20 plus down, I reckon I was like, if Gladiators can get a lead of 5 here, this game's done. Like Cheshire looked absolutely knackered, and then all of a sudden, Larry Austin got a steal, or Jamal got a steal, and then the dunk, and then it totally just changed momentum. And you just have to look at the score. The score in the fourth quarter was just totally one way. There was nothing going in it for the Gladiators, getting no favourable anything from anyone, and probably didn't deserve it. So I think that's one that goes down to experience, and one that kind of goes down to the fact that there is a lot of rookies on that team.
Ads, my man, you've always been high on the Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Phoenix. I think they're a decent team. I think that there's still more to come from them. I mean, what does make me happy is I'm just looking down the points leaders here. The league leaders, and I love seeing Jamal in the top 10 scorers, averaging 17 a game. I think
he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a beast.
He is. Imagine if he'd stayed in Manchester.
Oh, God, dude. I mean, I talk about this all the time. Jamal Anderson on this Giants team would just be something to behold.
It was the way, though. He played full court and Sloan near enough every minute he was on the court.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's a lot for a defensive effort to then put on what he did offensively as well. Yeah. If we're talking about our top 5 for the week, Mr. Anderson is definitely in it.
Well, I'll put that down now.
This is a fit guy, you know what I mean? It's almost like Jamal is, I don't know, he's getting better and better each season. He's not at Leicester, if that makes sense. I think that maybe, great as it was him being at Leicester and what he won there, it's almost like since he's moved away, he's really sort of, let loose and let the league see what he's actually all about. And
like William Lee.
Yeah, and it's like he's just like this complete player that you didn't know was as complete as he is. And you're sort of going, well, he's making the GB team at the moment, but not necessarily getting a lot of minutes. Is this season going to be his breakout year in terms of becoming a GB player? I don't know. I mean, the guy's having a great season and it can't be overlooked. It's as simple as that. And Cheshire picking him up, I mean, they were very, very lucky because I truly believe that if it had been another 2 weeks, he'd still be in Manchester. Because remember when he signed for Cheshire, we were all getting ready to draw the curtains on Manchester. It wasn't looking good, and then 2 weeks later, Vince comes in, and you're sort of thinking, that was close. That was really close.
Nicholson, my man, you've seen the Phoenix firsthand. They seem to evolve as the season goes on, and already they look.
Well, they've made so many
different team. Yeah.
You mean revolving door?
Evolve, not revolve.
They've made so many changes. It's difficult really because I'm high on like a couple of players there, and I think those players make the difference. Like Anderson,
Oh, ads. Nice.
Nice ads.
Bit full of a cold.
Not anymore, you're not.
No, yeah.
I forgot my headphones were also a microphone.
It's award-winning stuff. Carry on, Mr. Nicholson. This is all staying in. Go.
You wouldn't get this on a BBL show. What's my name? Anyway, what were we talking about?
Where was I?
Go on,
so Cheshire.
Yeah.
I'm high on 2 guys there, on Jamal and Larry Austin. That's what I'm excited about there. They've made a lot of other changes. Those 2 guys make the difference. That's their identity. They've got to go on their momentum. Don't get me wrong, other players there are good. Don't get me wrong, they are good. But those two players. Glasgow looked like their first quarter, they just rocked up and I said it to Harvard at all. And I did actually say watch this go completely the other way around, and it did.
And then it flipped back again.
Yeah, and then it just. but why did it flip back again? Because of the defensive energy of Jamal Anderson and the offensive energy of Larry Austin. Take those 2 out of the equation, then it's a whole different story. But those 2 will make that team, and if they stay fit, Cheshire will have success.
Marcus Evans is a hell of a pickup, though.
Yeah, he was good. He was good, but he's not he's not the game changer of Larry Austin, and he's not the defensive presence of Jamal Anderson. He was good.
Fair. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I enjoyed him in the backcourt with Trajan Jacob last season. Maybe a little volatile at times, but as we experienced firsthand, Mr. Nicholson, didn't we? Yeah, but
just a little bit, isn't he?
He's certainly an asset to that team.
I'm looking forward to him coming back to Pavilions.
Yeah, but like Grant said, like the kind of fatigue issue. There's a few games now we've watched Cheshire, and it's got to the fourth quarter, and they've started to look a bit leggy. So the addition of someone like Marcus Evans,
Yeah, the combination of Evans, Larry Austin, and Anderson in that fourth quarter, just getting that almost second or third wind off a big play, really kind of brought them through to obviously win that game. And you saw a clear momentum shift and a clear kind of negative presence across the Gladiators team in the end, when they were just like, oh man, this isn't going our way. Nothing was dropping. You look across the stats for that game, no one really shined. Patrick Tapé was great first half and didn't really feature in the third quarter. Ali Fraser began playing a bit better, but when Patrick got on in the fourth quarter and the game was still tight, it wasn't really offering the same kind of aggression as he did first half. So yeah, things to learn on, things to get better on, and Gladiators will go again.
Absolutely. Let's move on. Let's do the final topic that we tweeted out, which is it's one that myself and Ads got into a little bit previously, a slightly different take on it, but essentially we asked, should the Lions win it all? From what we've seen of them so far, they obviously had the win tonight as well in European competition, their first win in that. It was a good win without Sam Decker, and Costa Kufa's missing as well, I think. Yeah,
he didn't play.
But domestically, we're not talking Europe. Obviously, Europe is perceived the higher aim, as it were. But at the same time, 777 obviously own the league, and for the Lions not to go all out to win as much as they can, if not everything, in the league would potentially give it a bit, devalue it maybe a little bit. So I honestly believe that. Who are they playing this week? Cheshire.
There you go. That's the
Giants.
Cheshire and Giants.
They've just come off the back of a huge European win. This is where we see what they're made of. Here's their hangover.
Well, you could be right. We'll see if players are rested. We'll see what the situation is if they decide not to play certain players. But even if they do, that squad is so.
Their squad of 15. Their squad is so good throughout. So if Decker's back, close to being fit, or Goskufos, or whoever else they've rotated out, but then you've got guys like Josh Ward-Hibbert and Bradley Cabosa, who we saw last season, how good they can be, who are bench minutes for them. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back, or how not bounce back, how they, what's the word I'm thinking of, momentum helps them after the big win tonight.
But should we be thinking they'll win it all? Is it acceptable, is what the question was essentially. Is it acceptable to think that anything less than winning it all is kind of not enough? Ads?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because when you're talking about the figures that you're talking about and looking at who they've got, you're sort of going, well, absolutely you should win everything, no doubt. You've got the budget to do it, you've got the players to do it, you've got the owners to do it. So yes, you should win everything. Are they going to win everything? I still don't think they are. I still think they're beatable. There's vulnerabilities that aren't anything particularly major, but they, it's been proven that they look beatable. Who was it the other night that it came down pretty close? And Caledonia. And my finger was on the send button on WhatsApp waiting to go. Told you. Because Caledonia gave him a game.
The fireworks were almost out of my back garden.
Yeah. And, I wonder, when they come to Manchester with Dirk and Vince on the floor in front of their new fans with their teammates that they've got, are they going to be the ones to do it? Because without going all Kevin Keegan on it, I would love it if we beat London Lions. I would love it.
For me, it all depends on...
Sorry. Another quick mucus removal there.
Go on, Grant.
Podcast sponsored by Adz's Hanky.
Tissues. Generic tissues.
Other brands are available. No, I just think it all depends on if they get a core of their roster committing to the BBL games. Ovi's been incredible for them. From a Brit, DVO's looked good in spells. Luke Nelson's looked okay in spells. But it's guys like Quealy and Soledad, Mo, what's his surname?
Soloway, yeah.
Who I think needs to show more in the BBL. And almost sometimes I'm like, are they taking it seriously? Because that's 2 or 3 games, or 2 games before Decker went down hurt, that without Sam Decker, they are losing. I just think if they can get that support cast committed to the BBL games, then I've already said I think they will go undefeated or could go undefeated. And I think it depends if they can get guys like DVO, Luke Nelson, all the other British guys contributing well. Like Ovi's going to play hard every time he's on the court. He's shown that in every game so far. Been really impressed. I'm going to say after tonight's game how good he was. And if you add in those other guys, they're going to be great. So I think they could do it.
Yeah. Nicholson? Stop drafting for 5 seconds. Jeez.
No. My draft is done.
That was quick.
I was thinking, and of course they can go win it all. Of course they can.
But should we be expecting them to?
No, of course not. There's just... You ask any other competitor in the league, any of the players in Giants, you ask any of the players at Leicester, at Patriots, or whoever, they all want to beat them. They all want to beat them. Like, I don't think anyone should expect them to. Like, what have Lions won previously?
League, Cup.
I mean, like, realistically, I'm not saying they win one thing, it's a success. What I'm saying is, like, they're going to be up there in the finals of pretty much everything. And if they slip up on one, they slip up on one. If they slip up on all of them, that's a problem, right? But
yeah, which is what happened.
They've got to win game. Yeah. You know,
I mean, by what they've got, they're under more pressure than anybody else in the league because they're expecting to win every game. You know, everybody's expecting them to win every game. There's a lot on them, so the pressure's all on them. So they can walk into them, everyone's going to be expecting them to win, you know. And a team that is up for it as the Giants right now are going to be, you know, dangerous. And then you've got, they nearly had a banana peel against Caledonia. You know, what's to say that they don't do that? You know, if Plymouth pull out a great performance, do you know what I mean? If Bristol pull out a great performance, you know, so every game is a pressure game for them, more so than the teams that they're playing in a lot of ways. Do I like it? No, I don't, because I don't like this whole we've got the most money, so we're going to just win it that way. You know what I mean? It's to me, it's just too. I find it a bit gratuitous, if anything.
But someone's always got the most money.
Well, they have, but you know, who likes the team with all the money? You know what I mean? It's you know, it's like NBA territory, isn't it? It's like LeBron James. I want all the best players to win. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas the teams that you love historically are the ones that have built up to it with a great player and created great players around them. So to me, it doesn't make for an exciting season. I'm not excited, you know, by the fact, could London do it? It doesn't excite me. You know what I mean? What excites me is who is going to be the team that beats them.
Off.
Because somebody's going to beat him. I'm telling you, someone's going to beat him.
Were you saying the same about Devil's Advocate here, London Lions women last season?
No, because, in a way, yeah, because if you want to look at it that way, no one could touch him. You know, that's the best roster of women's basketball the country's ever seen by a country mile. Now, remember, though, the WBBL is a different kettle of fish because they were literally probably one of 2, possibly 3 teams that even paid any players. You know, so you're kind of looking at it. Yeah, I mean, and they were paying them, and they're paying them good money. You don't get Joe Leadham and Azania Stewart for cheap. You know what I mean? They're expensive, high premium ballers. Whereas that it's a separate argument, which somebody like Kaz would be amazing to have on the show to talk about, because in that same season, they're playing against the Manchester Mystics team that's got Georgia Jones, Dominique Allen, and players of that ilk who aren't getting paid to play. You know what I mean? So it's slightly different in the WBBL. Yeah. Did I enjoy watching the London Lions ladies last year? Yes, I did. I thought it was an absolute privilege to have been able to watch them live a couple of times, but I just don't think it's the same comparison. I think that it was a big statement for the women's game, what they did last year in Europe and domestically.
A massive flex as well.
Yeah, it's a massive flex, and it's like, here's what the women's game's all about. You know what I mean? And
this is what it could look like. Yeah,
and a couple more teams coming with that kind of some sort of budget, and the WBBL.
No, fair enough.
A serious league. You know,
I get that.
Although I fully take your comment on board, but it's. I just think it's just a different situation, isn't it?
You know, one thing I saw on Twitter, I saw someone say, I'm not happy with this, that London Lions are buying the league or whatever. I'm like, with all due respect, you're in a fully professional league. Every team buys their victories one way or another. Like, they all pay wages. They buy wins. I'm not having buying the league.
God.
Yeah.
And this is
never an argument I've liked.
No, but
it's kind of the way it's been done as well. Do you know what I mean? Because it's still whoop-de-doo, because it doesn't really.
It only affects one team.
It doesn't affect anyone. You know, you own the club, you own half of the league, you've lifted the salary cap. So what? How does that affect anybody else? It doesn't affect Surrey Scorchers. You know what I mean? It doesn't affect Cheshire.
It's a short-term thing for them, obviously, going into Europe, but it's a long-term thing for the rest of the league to evidently try and catch up to.
And I get that they're sort of playing the long game, but look at how strong Caledonia are. They've had an injection.
But what I don't want to hear, like at the end of the season, is if someone other than.
But here's the thing for me is this: there's few and far between, and obviously Newcastle Eagles have done it a couple of times. There's not many teams that have swept. For many elite teams, like if you win all 4, that's not a fluke. Like, you are the best team in the country if you've won all 4. I feel like they need, and I think they want to strive to do it. I don't think it's a case of it's basketball. On any given night, anything could happen. But to a degree, and I know you women's team element of it in terms of them being way more equipped for the rest of the WBBL. I do feel there is a lot of similarities in that this squad is so deep. They could start a completely different 5 off that unit and still demolish teams. But the thing for me is, I feel like if they want to do it, if they want to win all 4, they can win all 4. Like, it's not up to the other teams, if you like. If they want to win it and they generally want to win everything domestically, and it's whether or not a team can take one off them. And from what I've seen so far, I don't think they will. But that's my opinion. I still think they look a little bit pre-season. I still don't think they've gelled 100%, which is terrifying when you think how many games there are left in the season, and they've picked up a win in Europe and their players down.
They've just won tonight without their best player. Like, Sam Decker's been there
in Europe.
Oh yeah, they've won exactly. It's the first win in Europe, massive. So it's the first win in Europe for London in this competition, and Sam Decker's standing behind the baseline, getting the crowd going. If their two former NBA guys aren't making their roster due to injury and they're able to put away a team and deservedly put away a team, then it's a good place for them to be.
I'd like to add to this as well. I know we talk about the kind of the difference in what has been spent $100,000 and the Lions have gone in excess from what we hear of a couple of mil. It may be more. I don't think that's the angle we're coming from. And I know there's a lot of fans out there that will bash the Lions for that. That's not what we're talking about. That's not where we're going with it. What we're talking more about is, in essence, how they approach the domestic stuff. We know how important the European games are. But the domestic competitions need to be perceived almost as important, if you like, just to keep the value to the BBL, because it's okay to give a shit about the BBL. Like, it's okay to care, whether you win, whether your team lifts the cup, lifts the trophy, wins the league, wins the playoffs. And it's that aspect of it. It's not using the amount of money they've spent to bash them and say they should be doing this, they should be doing that. Will. But to a degree, there's such a chasm in spending that is obvious. We're not stupid people. That is going to be a big element of it. There's not many teams in the league that could afford one of their players, let alone two or three of them. Do you know what I mean?
But did you see Taj Green's dunk the other night?
Oh, phenomenal.
I think London will want to go out there and do it because they're got to be saying in their locker room. Imagine us finishing this season holding everything. Like everything. No one else with a...
I firmly think they will.
Yeah.
But for me, they've got to do it a couple of times to be up there with Kingston. Just I'll throw that in there. Just.
Oh, and one other important thing is as well. Did you see Taj Green's dunk the other night?
It was a bit... Where were you sat for that, by the way?
It was really funny because I was sat at the other end of the gym, quite high up the bleacher, because I like to be able to see everything.
So where did you end up after the dunk?
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because I was sat next to one of the parents of one of the players on my daughter's team, who's always saying, "How do you not get worked up and excited during a game?" And I'm like, because I'm watching it from several points of view, and I think because it's like the 90th game I've watched this weekend, you just sort of learn to just sort of watch and whatever, and then 2 seconds later that happened, and I was standing on my chair, man, freaking out, because I saw it from behind, and the whole place just went nuts. It was like...
John Trez
had the best view in the house. He was courtside right there next to it.
Good.
It was phenomenal.
It was insane.
I don't know if you saw my post-game interview with him, but I was still a bit hyped at that point. This guy, let me tell you, I mean, this is our Rookie of the Year that we're looking at, by the way.
He's almost already got
this
that.
is I mean, the guy is just a bucket. I mean, did you see his numbers on the night? Apart from that dunk, he was 100% from the 3-point line, 6 of 6. He had a double-double and did that. You know what I mean? It's like, really? This kid's...
It's in my fantasy team.
This kid's special, I'm telling you. He's special, and he's the sort of guy that the league needs, because obviously, we're talking about London and what they're going to do to elevate the BBL, but nothing London have done have made it onto BBC News. And, you know what I mean? It's like, I was like, it was getting ridiculous. I'm looking at it going like, shit, major thing. It was on the local news here. You know what I mean? And it's like, part of you's going, it should be, but part of you's also going, geez, is this what it takes to get some exposure for the game? You know what I mean? It's like, wow.
Couldn't agree more. Listen, let's Well, he may come up in this next section, but let's add, because we've got Jamel Anderson on the list already, let's add 4 more players to our team, a BTR team of the week. The BTR squad, the BTR Rovers, whatever.
BTR Rovers.
Fellas, talk to me. I don't know. I'm a bit raw with the Rovers. But I'm old. Yeah, talk to me, fellas. Who else are we adding to this list?
The aforementioned.
I think you've got to have Bennett Cook. Newcastle made him look good. He had a brilliant game against them on Friday night. Best player on show out of both squads. 25 points, 7 rebounds in 26 minutes. He was pretty good actually inside. I would have him in.
It looked like he. I mean, obviously, you could argue that they made him look good, but it looked like Bennett Cook that initially joined the league a couple of years ago. That he had those games week in, week out. He was a solid player.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. Was it Taj Green you want in there, ads?
Well, I mean, he's got to be, hasn't he?
I agree. What about Luke Nelson? 18 points, 70% field goal percentage. 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Yeah, we got
all round performance.
Are we allowing people in from the previous week? Because we didn't play this week.
We'll have to choose that separately. No.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hang on.
We missed a week.
Yeah, hold up a minute, easy.
Yeah, we'll have to add that week retrospectively.
So that was a Surrey London game, wasn't it? Yeah. So actually, then in that case, you can't add Taj Green.
Yeah, I reckon we do it for the past 2 weeks because we didn't do a show last week.
All right, then. Past 2 weeks.
Now you got me thinking. Right, okay.
No, I've really got the week before. Yeah, I'll give you Green from the week before. This is really good silence, guys.
I know.
I get the feeling everyone's doing what I'm doing is scrolling through the stats.
Yeah.
Going right.
Good old live stats. Who had the outstanding game against the Rhinos for the Flyers?
To be fair.
Because I saw there was a lot of Del Pesh highlights.
There's always going to be the highlights, but Gale was really good for the Flyers. But
yeah, he was good.
Mike Miller was really good.
Bell was good as well. It was a very, very much a team performance there. So maybe no one.
I'd be tempted to give it Mike Miller.
Leaps off the page
from this week. Stat line was really good. He stood out. 12 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 turnover in basically 30 minutes.
Yeah, Thornton 20 and 5. Luke Nelson 18, 6 and 5.
I think that was Nelson's best game in the BBL.
Yeah.
Should we do that then? Nelson and Mike Miller in the 5. That's a hell of a 5. Jamel Anderson, Taj Green, Bennett Cook, Luke Nelson, Mike Miller in a kind of overlapping.
It's definitely not going from anyone from the Sheffield and Newcastle game.
Sort of.
You just said Bennett.
For me, it's not. It's 66-59.
All right, Jesus. Settle down. Let's. Let's move on. Let's do some predictions, shall we? We'll total the predictions up that we've made. I'll tell you what we'll start trying to do. We'll get a little table going, shall we? We'll do that in the week. We'll post that regularly. But for now, so we got.
Hold up a minute. I'm sorry. I can't get over this. You've gone for Cook, right? Bennett Cook. 12 turnovers.
What?
That's got to be a typo.
Wait, hold up.
That's 12 turnovers.
What was his index?
Hold up. Nah, hold up.
Give it an index of 25. He's had a mare, guys. He's had a mare. He had one turnover.
No, it's the wrong. That's
Nicholson,
on me. That's on
pipe
me.
down. Let's move on to predictions.
That's the wrong one.
October 21st. So we've got Friday night games and Sunday afternoon games. No fixtures on Saturday at all. Yeah, like you said, we've got a few fixtures to go through. Let me just tear that sheet off the old pad there, and we'll get cracking.
That was a good sound effect.
Good sound effects, man. That's good.
It wasn't an effect. But there we go. That's fine. Oh, I wish that was a sound
Great
effect.
sound effect.
There you go.
Punctuation.
As professional, that podcast is so professional.
Maybe that could be the new. What time is it?
Mucus clearance time.
Yeah.
Newcastle Eagles at home. Bristol Flyers. First game on the road for them. Let's go with Ads first. Who's taking the win?
I'm pretty sure Bristol have got this one. I'd love Newcastle to pick up their first win, especially at home. The recent form of Bristol would suggest that they will overcome.
Nicholson?
Bristol.
Grant?
Pains me to say
it. Bristol Flyers.
Yeah, I'm not zagging on that one. Sorry, Eagles fans. I know you dislike some of us for our predictions early on in the season, but
I was up in Newcastle last weekend.
Were you?
With my Mystics, with my Mystics 3 team. And I just love being up there. It's such a cool place and the people are just awesome. Yeah. And I was talking to a couple of people there and, they're having it rough, you know what I mean? There are some loyal fans up there. I love the Eagles fans. They're great people.
I agree, they're having it rough, but I mean, you've got the most silverware in the BBL, so you can have a couple of rough seasons. Next game on the docket: London Lions at home, Cheshire Phoenix on the road. Let's go.
Sky game, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Grant this time. Go on, Grant. Another Lions Sky game.
London Lions.
That's a shocker. Nicholson?
If the London, Cheshire and the Manchester, London were the other way around, I'd be going against London for a hangover game. But, nah. London all day.
Ads?
London.
I'll go London 2 on that one. Next up, that's the last game, isn't it, on the Fridays? Leicester Riders, the home team, Manchester Giants on the road. Yeah, I think that
spicy
could be game of the week, really, couldn't it? Looking at that should be the Sky game, really. Looking at those fixtures there, that would be a good one. I'll go first. I'll pick Giants. Nicholson.
Oh, why'd you come in second? Ads is going to go Giants.
Is he though?
I want to go Giants. We all picked the same one so far.
A zag's go. It's not a bad zag, is it? When you look at who's playing,
it's not a bad zag. But
it's not like
no, I'm going to go Giants.
It's not like zagging against.
I want Giants to win it.
And Giants.
Yeah, I'm going to go Giants.
Talked himself into the Giants. Grant, my man.
I don't know. I was hoping that everyone would go. At least someone would go Riders, so I didn't have to go Riders. I think home advantage maybe just does it for Leicester.
Going Riders.
Yes.
Ads, my man. Where you going with it?
Giants. Giants.
Fair enough. Let's move to the Sunday fixtures. Plymouth City Patriots at home. Surrey Scorchers visiting. Ads, my man. Where you going with that one?
Plymouth.
Grant. Good question. Nicholson. Inside
Who's
information.
fit from either team?
Was he holding that close to his chest for his pick?
I'm going Plymouth win.
I wasn't asking you that, but that's okay.
He's got to say that.
As if he's going to go anything else.
I think Pats win because they're at home.
So we've all picked the Pats on that one then. I'll have a crack at comms on that one. Should be fun for anyone who's going to be there listening or whatever. Lions second home game of the weekend next, and it is the Manchester Giants visiting. This will be interesting. Ads, where are you going? Let's go you first. Let's get it out of the way.
Giants.
Grant, my man.
I think it'll be one of those games where if Manchester Giants can make all their shots, can produce for 40 minutes, Ramon has one of those nights, I really think, however, Lions will do.
Good. This is too easy.
And I think it's going to be that game where Lions just go, nah, we're the big boys here.
Paul Nicholson.
I really want Giants to win this game. I think this is the game that we turn around and say, maybe they can't win it all. So I am going Giants.
Good lad. I like your style.
Well, after saying I don't think the Lions will lose any games, Ramon Fletcher's playing, and I find it very difficult to pick against Ramon, so I'm picking Giants as well. Shout out Ramon Fletcher.
Perhaps he's sitting here with his Ramon Fletcher bandana on, top on.
Listen,
he's got Ramon pictures in the background.
Yeah, I've seen a poster that's in production. I want it.
Oh, yes.
I want it. I want a Ramon Fletcher poster. Anyway, I don't know whether wife would let me put it up anyway, but I want one anyway.
It's in the garage.
It will be behind me in the garage, yeah, probably.
We've really gone with our heart on this one, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
But do you know what? I think there's going to be. They get a big win in Europe. They beat Cheshire. What a great couple of games! And then they've got to match up against like an overhyped Manchester team.
I just think defensively, London will win. So, London.
Yeah.
Over 40 minutes, London's defence, regardless of how many games they've played, will be too good.
I'll tell you what. If the Giants can,
we still got a couple of games, don't we?
If the Giants can play a third quarter, because that's been their sticking point of late. If they can give it a third quarter, and they can get off to one of these, because what they're doing at the moment is they go flying off the blocks, and before you know it, they're 15-0, and then something happens. You know what I mean? I've talked to Vince about it and talked to the players about it, and they know. And I think if they can give a performance, like if they can give what they give in the first quarter for 4 quarters, then I really believe they can do it.
Yeah. Let's move on.
And no one wants them to win more than Vince, I'm telling you.
Bet. Next game up, Sheffield Sharks at home to the Newcastle Eagles, a fixture that we watched, obviously, only last week. Who are we picking for that one? Ads, my man.
I'm going to go for Newcastle for that one.
He's got an Eagles.
I think they're going to pick up the first one.
I'll go Sharks. Nicholson?
Oh, jeez. Sharks.
Grant?
I'm going to go Eagles too.
We've split the field on that one. Caledonia Gladiators at home to the visiting Leicester Riders. That could be a good Sunday afternoon fixture. Nicholson?
Leicester are going to need bounce back after they lose to Manchester, so I'll go Leicester.
Good stuff. I'm going to pick Caledonia. Ads?
I want to pick
I would like Caledonia to win.
I want to pick them too.
2 for Caledonia. What's Grant? Grant, where are you going with this?
It's going to be a home win. The boys know what they need to do. They've got to bounce back. It's a big double header game at the Emirates on Sunday as the WBBL side are also
cool.
home. They've got a double header weekend actually. So,
nice.
so I'm going to go Caledonia Gladiators winning Sunday.
Which leaves us with just the one fixture remaining. It's the Bristol Flyers' second away fixture. Cheshire Phoenix, the home team. Bristol Flyers, as I said, on the road. I'm going to pick the Knicks with that one. I'm going to go first there. There you go. That's that done. Nicholson?
Okay. It's times like this I wish there could be a draw. I'll go Phoenix.
Another one for the Knicks. Grant?
Yeah, I'm going Phoenix too. I think Bristol, second game on the road. I'm guessing they'll drive up for the first one. So I'm going in depth thinking that they're going to be on the way down the road, and Cheshire at home in front of the kids. Cheshire will win.
That's my man.
I'm going for Cheshire.
So we've got a full house for the Knicks on that one, and that does it for us in terms of predictions. And that pretty much does it for the show, I think. Let's go around the fellas, because I've got something I want to add, just hopefully briefly at the end, although it might go on. Ads, my man.
Anything to add?
Anything for the boys and girls listening at home?
Well, there's always something that I want to mention, but I always forget when you ask.
Did you see Green's dunk?
Yeah, did you see Green's dunk? That was good.
I love it. Some merch. We might have some merch in the pipeline.
Maybe.
Did you see Green's dunk? Is that on the t-shirt?
Yeah, that's all it says. Did you see it?
That would be fantastic. Bit of marketing there. Did you see it?
Yeah.
No, good. Okay, Grant, my man.
After last week's disappointment of not being able to get along to watch the WBBL side, I'm definitely heading along this weekend. I'll definitely be at the game on Saturday when they play the Seven Oaks Suns. And hopefully, unfortunately, I've been rotated into work on Sunday, but I'm hopefully going to be able to see at least either, because Caledonian Gladiators versus Leicester Riders double header on Sunday. Ooh. Both WBBL and BBL sides play each other, so yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good weekend of basketball up here.
Nice. Mr. Nicholson, sir?
I want to add a quick LVC Dusha appreciation moment for the two games that he played, obviously with Boo Man out.
Yeah.
And actually played phenomenal. Obviously, Page just didn't pick up the win. He played outstanding. I don't know if any of you guys caught those games. He's not a guy who's used to playing that many minutes.
Didn't look out of place though, did he?
He was double on one of the games and a near double on the next one. Yeah, so that was my 2 cents.
Good.
Hi, have you is that you behind Paul there?
I wish it was.
No, I just thought it's obviously when you lose a couple of games, you don't get the recognition as you should do if you would have won the game.
You should have put his name up. We don't have to win games to be in the BTR 5 of the week.
Right, it's off Lou Nelson. I'm putting LVC in. I'm joking. I think Luke's a bit, but LVC. I didn't. I was. To be fair, I didn't realise that because I know I would drop him in there because he played that other game. He was very good.
If we're talking about changing the fives and combining weeks, you've got to put more people in, but that's for another time.
Yeah, not now. I wanted to highlight before we go, just to almost log that we've noticed it, is that people are chucking the word culture around quite a lot when they're talking about basketball. We had it, I think it was Kofi first, started throwing it out there. I don't know. I'm not sure at this stage. It's the kind of I think people are getting confused with what actually culture entails. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is your point?
It's multifaceted, is my point. Like, culture is fashion, food, social environment, your social standing, how you can consume things. It's like, it's very much a broad spectrum. And in terms of basketball culture, it's weird. You can't sort of separate the two. You can't say, let's take loads of basketball people and dress them up in Armani and stick them in front of a camera, because they're out of context. The whole essence of us wanting to... It's peeking behind the curtain is what I think people mean when they talk about basketball culture and wanting to see what players do, wear, that kind of thing. You want to peek behind the curtain. You want to see what these guys do when they're not playing basketball. But the only people who want to see that are the people who are watching the basketball because they know who these guys are. Like NBA players that rock up to venues wearing gear, they're given that gear to wear by brands and companies because they're going to be on TV, because they're basketball players, not because they're cool guys. Well, they might be cool guys, but it's because they're NBA players. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's okay for cultures to be different across a spectrum of British basketball. It's okay for cultures to be different in the NBA. It's okay for cultures to be different in life. It's okay for culture to be different in football. It's like telling no. I'm not a fan of just saying basketball culture.
It's not enough, yeah.
Because that's like a tree with branches. Like, there's so many different leaves on those.
Yeah. It's not. It's an all-encompassing term that's not all-encompassing at all. There's so many different aspects.
And I do like what Kofi says, and I can get behind
the aspect of it
stuff that he does.
Is right.
But when you stick a picture of a team bus out there,
well, it's
because the team bus has a sticker on it.
It's more the exposure. I felt that he was kind of
I know what he's saying. Like, yeah,
but and you said this as well, which made me laugh at the time. It's a correlation between the team that does more is the team that has more money. Lions players rocking up to various things is getting the word out there, getting the name out there, but they can afford to send their players to these things.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's like you're in London, you've got money, you can go to these events. No one got excited when I took Patriots down to Plymouth Albion.
I didn't know that happened.
It's our local rugby team.
I was going to say. Was it a good game?
No, we did a crossbar challenge.
Oh, nice! Did that with Ashley Hammond.
That was ages ago. That wasn't Patriots. No, yeah, that was a few years back. But
that was good.
I get it. Like, Lions are doing a great job because they've got a lot of money, a lot of media personnel, a great environment to be around, places to visit, people to see, and they're making the most out of it, and they're doing a great job. I love it. But I don't know. It's very easy for people to say British basketball needs to do this.
It's not easy to put into practice
without actually understanding what's involved in doing that.
I do think everything's moving in the right direction, though, and the things the Lions are doing.
100%.
I mean, even when you look back at it was last season when was it Sheffield and Bristol Flyers went axe throwing and all that kind of. Yeah, that's all a bit of fun. That's all we want to see. Our beloved players out of context. But let's not beat around the bush. The NBA has been the trendsetter in basketball for a long time. Although I will say, at some point through the history of European basketball and NBA, although NBA set the kind of tone early on, particularly through the 90s, at some point European basketball looked at the American model and thought, we can do this ourselves. We don't need America to do this. And consequently, some of the European teams now are better than NBA teams. Whereas British basketball kind of looked at it and were like, yeah, they're doing really well. We'll keep doing what we're doing. And didn't maybe follow suit or have a crack at it in the same light.
I firmly believe, and obviously this is coming from someone who works in the industry, that things are definitely going in the right direction. There is very good people in the right places, and they are making things happen.
There you go. Well, there we are. That's it. That'll do it from us. Ads, Grant, Mr. Nicholson, thank you for joining us. Thank you at home for listening. We'll hopefully be back next week. Until then, take it easy. We'll speak to you soon.